how did you find such clarity amidst so much uncertainty?
I think there are a number of ways, and I think there are a number of different points in that growth journey where you need different sorts of clarity. So I'd say at the beginning, to be honest, in the first 10 years, I didn't really know I was a leader. I didn't really
Mm,
think about being a leader. It was instinct. It was all, going from just me on my own to my first employee, to my fifth employee, to my 20th employee. It was very much head down. You're just instinctively doing what you think's right. And I was lucky to work in a firm that just gave me sort of free rein to do my thing. As long as I was making money for them, it was great because I was like an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So, now I look back and think, God, that wasn't that great opportunity, but I
yeah.
did them a great job. Clients loved us. They were
Yep.
making money. My division was, doing better than most others. So they were like, great. So that was very much instinct. So I never thought about clarity. I just did. I
Did
just
it.
executed. But I did have a very clear sense of self. And that was, probably the best example is in year one. So bear in mind, I'm 23. I'm a newly qualified accountant. I don't have a clue
Yeah.
what I'm. It was corporate finance, 101. It's like, how do I float a company? Well, let's just go and read a book. It was really learning from basics. And my first deal within the first year was quite a big fundraising with a big investment bank. And I was the only person on my side raising the money, doing the documents, running around, not really knowing what I was doing, but doing a decent job. And then everyone else had bankers, 50,
Yep.
60-year-old guys, all white guys in the room. So you'd have 20 people, lawyers, bankers, and then you'd have me. So I generally was the only woman in the room, and I was the youngest in the room.
Yeah.
And everyone had this big team. And even then, when I'd sit there and they would discuss a transaction, and I just sit there thinking, this is a head of the bank, and he's got that wrong. I would never argue. I was always very calm. I'd say, I don't think that's right. And can you imagine in those days,
I
25
love
years
it.
ago, that went down? But I never ever gave in. And what is so odd is at school, I was the shyest person at school. If you read all my reports, I would honestly want to retch if a teacher, you think the teacher's going to ask me a question, please
Yeah.
don't look at me, don't look at me. I've never put
Wow.
my hand up. I had no confidence, but I did have an utter belief in what was right. So the confidence piece wasn't there, but the self belief was. So in this first transaction, in the first year, I would have very firm discussions to say, I don't think you're right. And it would keep going. And you could feel the awkwardness in the room thinking, these lawyers are going to go. But I ended up being right. And that happened about 2 or 3 times in that transaction. And that really did teach me. And I think it was actually back to one event that happened with a physics teacher back at school, where she sort of taught me that the minority were quite often right. So don't just
Yeah.
go with the majority. That moment at school and then this moment at work, it's like, do you know what? Just because you're young, just because you're a woman, just because you look a certain way or from a certain background, and I didn't go to public school, so I went to very normal school. So I did feel a bit, out of it in terms of background. But you'd think none of those things matter. If you're right and you know you're right, then you should fight for your belief. So I've always had a belief system where I think treating people like that is wrong. There's no argument about it. People should just get the job based on opportunity. It isn't right that you're not promoted because you're a woman. It isn't right that your ethnic background determines how you do. It isn't right that where you come from and your background doesn't lead to you using your talents to the best of your ability and being valued. So I have those beliefs and I will fight for those beliefs. And as a result, now, 25 years later, my main role is around being the voice of the underrepresented founder. And I want that to be around the globe. So I'm doing much more globally now. So it's not just UK, because I think it's really important to fight for the underrepresented groups because they're not part of the system necessarily. The system doesn't work for them. And
Right.
I've worked through a system where I have been from a
Yeah.
different background, a woman, the first in a lot of places. And I've done it because I've had this real self-belief, but I know a lot of people don't. So
There's,
there's interesting things when you
yeah.
go back and look at self-belief is so important. And that's probably come from my family, really believing that you should say what you think, The confidence thing I've had to learn over 25 years to be fake it till you make it. But inner belief is something that I think we need to give our kids. Everyone deserves inner belief to fight for what they believe in and be that leader.
You use the word confidence, and hearing your story, a different word comes to mind for me because I do hear if somebody is feeling really grounded and clear on their beliefs, to me, that is confidence. And maybe I'm seeing sort of the opposite in myself. So I never had a problem being the loudest voice in the room. I shouldn't say never, rarely. I never minded sharing my opinion. I'd be the first to talk. However, I did not have the same strength or confidence or believe in myself, even though it looked like it. I would be very aware of what I was saying, and I didn't want to upset anyone. So I just wanted to share that back with you because I hear a ton of confidence. The word I would choose to describe what you just said about maybe not feeling that, I think of the word vulnerability. It's just that discomfort. But I heard a ton of confidence in there, Sam, and it's really inspiring to hear at such a young age and the impact that you had, and that really just being really connected to who you are and knowing what is right for you.
I still don't quite know how that was me, and but that
Mm,
has been the driving force
brilliant.
behind me. And even now, I still see a coach that I have had the same coach for 10 years who's absolutely phenomenal. And every 2 weeks we have a chat. And this week's chat was you have to fight for your belief system. And
Yep.
it's still going back to that. If you're fighting for your belief system, that doesn't put you on the line. It's not, you know, you might be
Right.
right. You're fighting for what you believe in. And that's something that I think is really important to reframe. It's not about you and you being wrong. You can only fight for what you believe in, and
Right.
what you believe in is what you believe in. And if someone disagrees, that's fine. But that I think helps build confidence if you know what you believe in.
Right. Have you seen the movie Inside Out 2 yet?
Just with my daughter, yeah, my daughter's 10, so she absolutely loved it, and it was brilliant about the
Wasn't it?
feelings.
So, warning, warning, if you have not seen this movie, I'm going to say something that it won't ruin it, but that little, I'll call it a statue, but that piece that would have those like blue and orange lines and it would be the limiting beliefs or the core beliefs. I thought that was really powerful and how it was built up in such a fragile way when one of the emotions was driving that versus when joy was sort of at the helm and how solid those beliefs were.
And what's amazing is, one of my favorite phrases is no one makes you feel inferior without your permission. And my early career, I would use that every day, multiple times a day, because you're in a man's world. It's like, it's up to me. I don't feel inferior unless, I want to feel inferior. So
Right.
whatever people are saying to you and attacking you or whatever they're, trying to say, you think, no, it's my choice to be inferior or not. And that's a bit similar. It's like, constantly reminding yourself that I have a belief, but other people can get you to question that. And
Right.
I think that's why it's so much believing in your gut and what you believe and finding that clarity. And that's why I spend quite a lot of time now, certainly the strategic end of my career, where you're really having to think about how you grow when we got to some serious scale, that you find that space for clarity to really, think no one else is impacting my belief. Whatever my chairman say, my non-execs, some very serious people, the higher you get in your career, the more you sort of think you should listen to other people. And actually that clarity and self-belief, finding it and finding the space for it, I think is so important, and what execs find so difficult